My name is Nur Alia Soleha binti Saruzzaman. My matrix number is 273494. Today, I want to talk about the introduction of our report, which is the effect of the PRIMA program towards B40 community. So, firstly, what is B40? B40 is known as a low-income earners or bottom 40% of the total national income. There are four categories in B40, which is B1, B2, B3, and B4. The income of these four categories is less than Rm 4,360 ringgit monthly by a household. I want to talk a little bit about the challenge that faced by B40 group. B40 group have to face the high cost of living, but in a low wage in the urban areas. Most of them cannot afford to buy a house or buy a land because the price was very expensive. Therefore, they only can rent a small room to live in with their family. Second, what is PRIMA? PRIMA is One Malaysia Housing Program or Program Perumahan Rakyat Satu Malaysia. It's aimed to plan, develop, construct and maintain a high-quality housing for the middle and low-income households. Lastly, how much the price of Prima house? The price of Prima house is between Rm 100,000 to Rm 400,000. It's targeting to serve an affordable price. The criteria to apply the Prima house were to be a Malaysian with individual or total household income from Rm 2,500 to Rm 150,000, age 21 and above.
Hi, my name is Goh Hong Le, and I am a team member of Malaysian Economy Group B, Team 11. Alright, so the first objective of this report is to clarify the objective of the government in implementing PRIMA program to help B40 community. Before we go into deeper, we should have a look on why the government looks so serious on the issue of B40 burdens in buying their first house. This happened because they earn a lower average income comparing to the other group of citizens like M40 and T20s. PRIMA was launched in 2012 to help the community, especially B40, to own their first house by offering lower priced houses. So, let us get into the main topic. The main objective of this program is to plan, establish, construct, and maintain a high quality housing, especially for B40 in major cities like KL and Selangor. Due to this, the government will construct houses completely with facilities and amenities. Not only this, the location of housing project was investigated and planned before starting to build. As we all know, these kind of houses are usually expensive compared to the other housing project. Therefore, PRIMA actually helps B40 to afford this kind of house with a relatively lower deal price. For instance, PRIMA offers houses lower than the market price, which is from Rm 100,000 to Rm 400,000. This clearly shows that PRIMA had achieved their objective to help the lower income community. There are some reasons why the government offers houses with lower prices. They cooperate with the developers to start housing projects to minimize the construction costs, and this lead to the reduction price in owning a property. In fact, PRIMA not only offer houses with lower prices, but they provide a loan scheme which is up to 110% of the property selling price. Now, please take a look closer in this issue. This action will push the affordability of buyers in B40 groups and increase their ability to own a property. If we make a comparison to the traditional loan, it will only provide up to 90% loan of the selling price. This clearly will decrease the purchase power of B40 groups and they will end up with not buying house. Now, please have a look on this table. As you all can see, the table shows the loan affordability of households based on the housing price. Through this table, we can know that the conventional loan will only provide a 90% loan amount of selling price, which is lower than the loan scheme under Prima, which is called SBS scheme. For example, we take a look on the houses that are priced at 100,000. The conventional loans will only provide a 90,000, while the SPS scheme they will provide a 110,000 of loan amount. Next, let's see on the sales report of Prima houses up to year 2018. This part is very important as it represents the situation where Prima meets the need of buyers with lower average income like B40. As per report shown, Prima has launched 61 projects in all states in Malaysia. From that, there are 44,084 houses are opening for sales to the public. Among the completed projects, there are 12,397 houses are sold. From the table, the most housing project being carried out is in Perak, due to the reason of Perak is a rapid growth city in Malaysia. Therefore, the government show effort to construct projects in this state to help the B40 citizens of Perak. Apart from that, Selangor obtained the highest sales of houses, which is 2,597 units from 4,334 units of houses that are open for sales. From these two examples, this clearly shows that the government worked hard to achieve the main target of Prima and to help them in owning a house in those rapid growth cities. That's all from me and thank you.
Hi, my name is Siti Farah Amnani. Good morning to my lecturer Dr. Razani. Today, I would like to present about Objective 2. The Objective 2 discuss about the effect of welfare programs towards B40 community. So, what is the actual effect of Prima programs toward B40? I will discuss in detail the effect of Prima towards. There is three effects of this program. Effect number 1 is low cost and high quality houses. We know Prima offers the affordable houses towards B40. It is easier for the low income group to own a dream home. For example, those who work for a living as traders do not have to worry about owning a home. They do not have to rent because Prima is able to offer a home that is suitable for income. They can use their salary saving balance for other things in an emergency.
Effect number 2 is bridging the economic gaps towards B40. We know that there is a huge gap between the rich and the poor. Prima can reducing the inequality of the gap between rich and poor, between races, as well as between urban and rural residents. The economist Tan Sri Dr. Nur Azlan Ghazali from University Kebangsaan Malaysia said the income gap between the T20 and B40 groups recorded an increase to 10,148 ringgit compared to 8,981 ringgit in the Malaysian average 2016. In addition, the wealth gap between the poor and the rich is often referred to as property ownership capabilities, especially homes. Today, B40 and M40 can only see the house built by the developer because the selling price is too high. The home ownership gap is also widening, especially in the city, needs to be addressed immediately. It is to prevent the rich from continuing to pioneer real estate in the city, while the poor will continue to marginalize it and push far into the countryside. If left unmanaged, they can be left astray and lose the right path with an increase in the minimum wages of 1,200 ringgit. The B40 groups can afford to buy a house. There is no need to worry again to dumping of unsold Prima houses in Malaysia. Moreover, it is bridged to poverty gap between urban and rural population because many people move to the city to find work. And the last one is improved lifestyle towards B40. If we talk about the way of life B40, what exactly is their lifestyle? With the Prima, they can live in their own way. They get new neighbors, they get to know other races because Prima is for all. In addition, B40 can save money for future use as health. We do not know what will happen in the future, such as diseases, disaster, and so on. Affordable Prima housing can reduce stress to the B40 group to pay. It can reduce emotional stress. They can live in harmony with their families. Okay, thank you. That's all for my presentation. I will leave this presentation to the next presenter.
Now I want to discuss about the third objective for our project, which is investigate the government's expenditure in carrying out Prima. The table shows that the expenditure by the government to Prima program, and we can see that the government's expenditure for the development grants are more than management grants. For the expenditure, management grants are mostly expenses in the corporation, and the expenditure development grants mostly expenses for the Prima project in Malaysia. For the total government's expenditure in 2014 are 401.8 million, and it decreased to 152.15 million in 2015. Then it reached to 1,629.76 million in 2016 and dropped to 25 million in 2017. Then it continued increase to 525 million in 2018. The government has continuous offered expenditure explicitly for the Prima project since 2011, when it was launched until 2016. The sum shows that rising pattern from the year to year that give the image of the government's concern to provide a affordable house for the individuals. In 2018, governments continue given expenditure for the development for this program, but the allowance is slightly decreased compared with the previous year. The government placed some goals to be built in terms of the units in its annual budget, which is increasing. According to the table, who of the development grants that are expenditure by governments for the Prima program are using to build the house in throughout Malaysia. In 2014, the development expenditure for the federal government for the housing sector is 924 million for the quality and affordable housing construction. For the construction of houses in strategic locations in Nusa Jaya, Seremban, Sungai Petani, and Teluk Intan, Prima was allowed a total of 400 million. The investment in this subsector also include the renovation of low-cost house and the reconstruction of project for burnt house. In 2015, the government has thus charged 130 million for the construction of house for the middle-income household to the Prima Corporation. A total of 560 housing units were built in Putrajaya in June 2015, while 41,263 units such as Balik Pulau, Sungai Petani, Sabang, Sanpudong, Sandakan, Bukit Jati, and Johor Bahru are under construction nationwide. In 2016, a total of 2.5 billion have been charged to the housing sector this year by the government. In an effort to provide affordable housing and the implementation of 1,620 million in public housing project has been expenditure to the Prima Corporation. There are 1,320 units of apartment have been developed at Sarawak and construction in underway, such as in Kampar, Pantai Meluraya, Kementeng, Tebrau, and Melaka. The government did not include any expenditure for the construction for Prima project in 2017, and this year there are no building project under the government expenditure. With this, Prima has taken the initiative to offset the expenditure of property construction this year and securing loans facility through government grantees through the Sukuk scheme. Prima has used the proceeds of sales earned from the selling of Prima house to offset the increasing cost of operating expense. In 2018, the government has provided an expenditure of 500 million for the development of the Prima project to run smoothly. Although the government has provided expenditure, but the Prima still has financing from the banks. Among the development projects supported by government expenditure are in Bandar Maluraya, Pasir Gudang, Cholas, Sungai Petani, and so on. A total of 12,083 units were completed this year, and several more are also under construction. For the expenditure management grants by government to PRIMA programs above this 5 years period, mostly are using for expenses in the corporation. Among the expenses by management grants are staff expenses, administrative expenses, travel expenses, professional service expenses, utility and communication expenses, repair and maintenance expenses, rental expenses, media and advertising expenses, and registration, insurance, and tax expenses. For these expenditures, government only cover a part of the total cost, and the most costs are covered by the income from the PRIMA corporation. Actually, not all the low-income groups, especially B40 groups, can afford the cost of buying a house under the PRIMA program. Thus, the government has provided a government financing scheme for households who are having difficulty access the credit from the bank system. Among the government's financing schemes include My First Home Scheme, Housing Loan Scheme, EPF Withdrawal, and Government Housing Loan Scheme. These schemes are aimed to reduce the financial burden for the B40 groups.
For the conclusion in this video, we can know the objective of the PRIMA programs toward B40 community. Firstly, the objective in implementing PRIMA programs is to alleviate the burden of B40 community by providing an affordable price for them. Next is the actual effect of PRIMA towards B40 family. The actual effect is they can get a house in a low cost but in high quality. Since the price is 20% lower than the actual price in the market. Lastly, we can note the government's expenditure in carrying out this PRIMA program from period 2014. Thank you.